Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. John Riosti, American banker. Thank you very much for joining us, John.
Thank you.
Lance Sexton, PPP forgiveness guru, also known as Father Lance.
That's how it feels today, Bob, and every day.
And Delaney Sexton is waiting in the wings. Delaney, do we have you?
Yes, I'm here.
Ah, there you go. We much prefer looking at you than Lance, but we'll take you however we can get you. John, it's been a while. We hit the holidays and whatever. What's going on the Hill?
Well, there's a lot of activity. On a number of pieces of SBA related legislation. I don't want to say I attended. I was about to say I attended or applied, but I viewed a House Small Business Committee meeting Thursday, and they discussed.
I'm interrupting you. Are they even open? Is it open to the public, or is it all virtual these days?
No, it is. I don't think it's open to the public. It is. There are members that appear in person.
Right.
This particular meeting, most of them were remote. There were only a handful of members in the hearing room, and it's been a long time since I was in that hearing room.
Right.
So, but obviously you get the same effect watching it via live stream.
Anyway, go ahead.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
there's work going on, but as to the most important topic, the budget and some of those big issues, it's still whatever work is being done sort of below the table, sub rosa, they're not talking about it yet. So in terms of getting a budget passed and potentially a budget that includes direct lending. So we'll just have to report back when I know more.
Direct lending, is it dead? Is it
Not dead.
Pass?
Not dead at all.
They keep talking about it.
Right. They keep talking about it. They're in favor of it on one side, the Democratic side, strongly opposed on the Republican side. The Democrats have the slight advantage, so it very well could pass. Obviously, the handful of Democratic senators who have objected to Build Back Better, none of them focus their attention or objections on SBA. So
yeah, they're not going to fall on their sword for this topic, I think.
No.
Hey, Delaney, are you there? I know you watched it also. Interesting testimony. Start with Mark Madrid. First of all, he's SBA OID. Who's the OED?
That is the Office of Entrepreneurial Development.
Okay.
He's the Associate Administrator. He was reviewing all of the different programs, the Small Business Development Centers, Women's Business Centers, the pilot or the SCORE program, and the Community Navigators pilot program. He was reviewing some numbers, what success they've seen due to the record-breaking numbers of small business openings. I believe it was 5.5 million. Talking about, again, how they've been doing and potentially needing more funding to support this business growth.
Lance, I know you were a former director of an SBDC, but I love the last number down there, fiscal year 21. This is how you can help these applicants. They may already be your customers. They may have a checking account and they want to start a business. And they're talking to you and say, hey, gang, I don't have the infrastructure to do it, but there's this group over here on the college that does, and look at those numbers, almost 1 million clients for 26,000. They started 26,000 new businesses in 1 year.
Well, the Small Business Development Center program is not a new program. In fact, my second job after graduation was with the Small Business Development Center, and my graduate assistantship in the MBA program was with the Small Business Development Center. So they've been providing exceptional support to the small business community for years. But as a banker or a financial institution working on small business loans, they're your partner. They're your borrower's partner as well. If your borrower doesn't know how to put together a business plan, Small Business Development Center can help them. If they need some help with marketing research, the Small Business Development Center can help them. If they need some help with their projections, they can help as well. And as you see, they've trained 818,000 small business or prospective small business owners throughout the country. So they do a tremendous job.
Yeah, and they're specialists in the esoteric programs, specialists in export. They know about that. They know government contracting. So they are things that aren't on your radar and your staff can't help and say, hey, I can't help you with this, but bam, call so-and-so.
Yeah, and they're typically, not always, but typically located on a university campus or at least in a university outreach building. But it's a great program to be aware of. And as a lender, if you've got a borrower that has a pretty good idea but not the skill set to put together a quality business plan, the SBDCs are certainly someone. And Bob, I was talking about my long experience. Delaney used to play in the Small Business Development Center at times when she was just born. She was at the SBDC in a walker at times when she was a little girl.
You have pictures?
I'll have to find some, Bob.
Yeah, we can embarrass Delaney on air. Yeah, that would be fun. Our friend T. Rowe runs the trade group for SBDC. And Delaney, go through the numbers. We don't have a picture, so don't worry. Go ahead.
So it says that they managed to help create over 629,000 new jobs, increase sales over $47 billion for their small business clients. I believe that was from 2012 to 2019. Recently, they increased sales by $7.6 billion and created 71,400 jobs.
John, did you listen to this hearing? I know you listened to the House hearing. Did you listen to the Senate hearing?
I'm afraid I didn't. So
okay. Well, I'll turn it around for the same question would apply for the House hearing. What was the attitude toward the legislatures, toward these programs?
These programs, thankfully, fall in the bipartisan zone. The attitude is entirely supportive. In fact, some of the legislation the House is considering is aimed at strengthening further strengthening the the small business development centers. So they have them on the radar. They're trying to provide more resources. And these bills, it's interesting. You look at the sponsor and co-sponsor, and it's Democrat and Republican. So yeah. There's bipartisan support.
Is there any resistance to this? The trade groups certainly, I think, would support it. There's no reason not to support this. The banking groups.
The only resistance is it's not political. It's I guess institutional. It's just that the Congress works at its own pace, and right. it decides what it's going to focus on, and sometimes these bills, even though, actually I would say a lot of times, these bills, even though they have almost a universal support as opposed to bipartisan support, just never get picked up. And you see them introduced again and again and again. And, one of the ones I like to point to is the Investing in Main Street Act. It passes the House every year. There's no real opposition in the Senate. It's just the Senate just
it does that. And that's the one with a lot of SBIC.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it passed the House again. So it is. It's resoundingly passed the House. The number of no votes is you can count on one or maybe two hands, and just have to see if the Senate.
Well, I mean, these numbers are amazing. I don't know what the actual cost is, but it's minimal compared to the overall budget.
Yes.
They increased sales by almost $50 billion. They created 630,000 jobs.
Well, one of the things about SBDCs, Bob, is the federal dollars are leveraged with state dollars and community right. dollars. When I ran the SBDC,
also lenders can.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right, Bob. When I ran the SBDC at the University of Arkansas, Our budget provided by the University of Arkansas was almost double the SBA dollars. Plus, we had contributions from great community banks in the community to carry out those programs. So it's, each federal dollar that goes in, there are at least another $1 or $2 or $3 of other types of funding that goes
And I
into
know a
the
lot of
SBC
the
program.
SBDC, they put bankers on their board, so it's, I know Lance and I and John, we're certainly fans of that program.
Back in the day, they don't do it anymore, but my primary function at the SBDC, I packaged SBA loans. They don't do that anymore, but we used to.
No, but they can help with how to fill out projections.
They can help the borrower significantly.
Yeah, definitely. And they have great workshops. I didn't even mention the workshops. You can, any workshop you want, marketing, QuickBooks, everything from that. Delaney, one of the programs which I haven't heard too much about, but they talked about, the Community Navigator program. Define that, and where are we with that?
So this program is still pretty new. So there's not a lot. They're waiting to get some more numbers in. So this Community Navigator program, I believe, is just helping smaller businesses or startups. I'll have to double check that before I tell you that confidently, but.
Yeah, it's a coalition of, again, another resource it's named for underserved markets and to spread the word and to let people know how they can access these funds. So it's a great program. Finally, we had, Corrine Hodges, the CEO, Association of Women Business Centers. I confess I'm not following that very much. Delaney, what can you add to it?
So there's about 140 women's business centers, and the CARES Act managed to provide about $500,000 to each of these women's business centers. In 2021, they helped about 88,000 unique clients, which is an increase of about 6.5% from the previous year and 36% from 2019 or 2020, I believe. They managed to leverage about $361 million in support of their clients. So they saw a very broad group of people, helped them out, and they even helped the socially disadvantaged clients. They really put emphasis on that. As you can see here, they helped with in as many as 38 languages.
That got my attention. But again, that's a constant theme of a lot of startups are from first-generation immigrants, and they can come in and they start, and that's great that we have a resource that they can start their own business, whether it be a restaurant, nail salons, whatever, Lance.
Well, the Women's Business Center program also has been around for a while, but I don't know how it is in every state, but I know in our state, the Women's Business Center is located in a very underserved market, what SBA would say is an underserved market, and they provide many similar services to what an SBDC does, and work with SBDCs, at least from my knowledge.
Right, and they don't just specialize in SBA. They work with state programs. There's a myriad of other programs that they're specialists in from that. So John, what's next up in Washington?
It's probably more of the same. We're right now just in a budget holding pattern. I'm wondering, I haven't seen it reported, and I don't report on the federal budget, but I'm wondering if this budget is further behind at this point than in years past. Maybe
Yeah, it's only 4 months behind. I mean, there's been years they didn't even do a budget. So
this may fall into that category.
yeah.
So just more continuing resolutions, and then we've talked about this more than once, but I'll just mention it again. That will mean that for this entire fiscal year, SBA will be working off numbers and amounts from last fiscal year, and will that will that be enough? Will it be enough for 7A? Probably. Possibly. Will it be enough for 504? No. Already they're at $4 billion through the end of January. So
Well,
just
hopefully they'll be able to resolve these issues and the election year doesn't slow that down. Lance, you want to take Jackie's question?
Jackie, you asked a pretty incredible question because, you know, most people have not had an opportunity to be involved in SBA when there was direct lending. I will say that, you know, when I first started, direct lending was the only way to get an SBA loan, and banks worked with SBA. It did require 2 bank denial letters in order to get an SBA loan, so SBA made sure that it was not directly competing with, well, there were not participant banks back then, Bob. So it's a unique time because SBA has built its growth and the size of its program with the support of participant lenders like everybody on this call. So how SBA develops the guidelines for direct lending will determine how that impacts lenders in general. I suspect, and Bob and John, let me know what you think. I don't suspect SBA is going to develop a direct lending program that takes away from the excellent program it's already developed with the participant lenders throughout the country. I can't imagine them doing it.
John, I understand that this program is directed for the smaller loans, right?
it is. What they're seeing is $150,000 and less. So, you know, at one level, if they're going to talk about loans of $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, that is small, but $150,000 loan, even $100,000 loan is a fairly sizable business loan. And maybe they won't take away from the funding of regular SBA, but it seems like that's competing with regular SBA.
Well, and the thing, John and Bob, that I've always said, and I'll say it again in case any congressional offices are listening, anybody from the SBA, guys, what they're wanting to do is make smaller loans to underserved markets. You could have just as easily spent the money they're proposing on direct lending in developing a more robust guarantee for participant bankers on smaller loans. And I promise you, banks throughout the country would jump on board.
It's funny you mentioned that. There's a lot of criticism of so-called rent-a-charter programs where a bank will partner with a lender who some might consider predatory. But Northeast Bank in Maine is partnering with a organization, Nuity, that wants to make really small 7A loans. I think $5,000 is what they're talking about. I don't think anybody, and because they're SBA loans, the interest is set. It's the regular SBA. It's not even SBA Express. It's the regular SBA program. This is the type of partnership, fintech partnership, that I don't think anybody would have any problem with.
And those smaller loans, you go up to what, Lance? I don't have it in front of me. Prime plus 6.5.
In some cases, Bob, on the loans under $25,000 with a certain maturity, they can be much higher than what we normally charge on SBA.
But there are limits on what they can be charged, and it's all, everything, the parameters are set. They can't go outside the agency's parameters. And it just seems to me if that's something to watch. It's operational. They're working it now. And if that succeeds anywhere close to what their goals are, which is 1,000 loans a month, I would imagine they're not the only bank that would be interested in having that kind of arrangement. And there you have a private sector solution.
Well, you bump that
not
guarantee.
A solution, but at least a private sector response to the problem.
I agree with Lance. You bump that guarantee, and with those rates, all of a sudden that becomes attractive for lenders. I'm going to talk about, be sure and join us, special edition Coleman Report Live on Wednesday. Joseph, same time, correct? Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern?
That's correct, with the same login as
And
well.
we are going to announce our Coleman Award winners for the following. Everyone who has won has been notified. We haven't notified them of the category. Caveat, the business development officer, we are holding off on that. So we have all of those nominations, and every business development officer category is being held over. But we will be announcing these. I got a question from David. Yes, send logos, send pictures. You are not required to say anything. We'll be happy to announce you. Delaney, this is Delaney's show. Delaney will talk a little bit of how why this person deserves the award. And Lance, we're doing this new. It'll be fun.
I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing who receives the award in each category.
And let me tell you, a lot of quality submissions and a lot of quality. It's a fun part of the job.
Yeah.
And we don't charge anything for that. In fact, I do have an issue with supply chain. Supply chain is affecting Coleman directly on our plaques, but we're working around that. You will get a plaque, but it's maybe still sitting in the ocean. And Lance, real quick, what are you talking about on Thursday?
We're going to talk about fees related to SBA loans, properly completing the SBA Form 159, and we're going to talk about the character check process. It says 912, and like I said last time we had that up there, people emailed me and said there's not a 912, and I agree, there's not. But we're going to talk about the process.
You don't have the form, but you got to do the work.
Yeah, we'll talk about the process there, but important
John,
information.
thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Lance, same with you. We'll see you later on this week. And everyone, thank you for joining us today for Corrine Live and for supporting America's Main Street. One entrepreneur at a time.
Thank you.
Have a good day.